Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Okay, so today's video, I really wanted to film my testimony and how I gave my life to Jesus. If you don't know what a testimony is, it's kind of like what I just said. It's kind of your story of how you got saved, how you got introduced to God, and what kind of happened afterwards. And yeah, today I just want to talk about that and let you guys know my story. So let's get into this. Since I was 2 or 3, I've grown up in church, so I've definitely grown up hearing the gospel, hearing about Christianity and stories from the Bible. So I've definitely grown up like knowing a lot of that stuff. I felt like even though I kind of was hearing all this stuff about God and Christianity and what to believe, I didn't really practice it on my own for most of my childhood. Like I definitely like prayed and stuff when I was like getting in trouble or whatever. I didn't really take what I was learning and like super apply it to my life. Basically, I never thought too much about what I was hearing. Then I went into middle school and some things changed. I started to kind of question what I believed in, if it was true or not. Because in church, you hear a lot of stories from the Bible and testimonies and stuff, and you kind of are always questioning, how is this real? And I think at that age too, like everything in school is like, oh, what evidence backs this up? How is this scientifically proven? And so with Christianity, there's a lot of stuff that is kind of faith-based. And yeah, so that's what I was kind of wondering in middle school. I was kind of searching that route, and I just remember my relationship with God at that time being not super strong. I never really like read my Bible. I never really listened in church. I just definitely didn't see a reason to put that much effort into what I was hearing. I don't know if this makes sense at all. So yeah, I enter high school. I definitely have this like mediocre relationship with God. I definitely know what is right and wrong. I've heard the gospel all my life, and I guess I'm just not sure where I'm going with it. Around 15, 16, freshman year of high school, that's when my mental health starts getting a little rocky. I had never really struggled with it that much until freshman year, and that's when it was like at an all-time peak. I got super bad anxiety and depression, and I feel like in general, even a couple years ago, mental health was very not talked about until recently, I feel like. So there was no one I could really like talk to honestly about how I was feeling, because for a lot of people, when you mention your mental health, you may kind of think it's like a made-up thing or kind of blame it on social media and technology, just be like, oh, you're on your phone too much, that's why you have anxiety and all this stuff. It could probably be true, but it's still just kind of a hard thing to talk about, if that makes sense. Because if you are suffering with anxiety, you don't want to just hear that you're on your phone too much. You want like an actual answer. Most of my freshman year was great. It was just this 1 month in specific that I was like very much struggling and going through a lot of it. I remember one night my parents were gone and I was kind of watching my sisters, and I just felt so empty. I felt so depressed. I had never had a mental breakdown or like super bad anxiety until this day. I remember going to the shower and I just started bawling my eyes out. I was so sad. This was the first point in my life where I had felt like I had nothing else to live for. I don't remember anything in specific being like very wrong. That's when like the peak of my depression had kind of built up. Anyone who's gone through depression or experienced it probably knows the feeling where literally nothing has to go wrong and you feel like your world is ending and it's all like your mind playing tricks on you. So I was in the shower, I was completely bawling, and that was the first time that I had ever felt like I did not want to live anymore. And it sounds very cliche and kind of, I don't know, I feel even weird just saying it out loud, but it is crazy what your mind can do to you and how you can be programmed to think. I always imagine it as like this big ditch, and you're in that ditch and you are surrounded by all this nasty stuff, whatever, and a few inches above your head there's a ladder, and then when you climb that ladder there's like a beautiful garden. It's like paradise up there, and I always feel like that is what depression is. You're just in this pit and it can look so terrible for no reason, and if you would just climb a couple steps, you would see how amazing life is. And I feel like in this case that's what it was for me. There was so much good in my life, and at the time like anyone could have told me that, and I would not even change my mind, because I just felt so empty and depressed. And just the better way of saying it, just like I felt like I had absolutely no hope for my life. My mind was convincing me that it was better to not live than live another day in my life, which is not even true. Like obviously I had so much to live for, but at the time that's what my mind was saying to me. It's a hard thing to go through because I feel like it's all your mind messing with you. I remember going into my bed and I was kind of like trying to go to sleep, but I like obviously couldn't because I was still crying. I was looking up at the ceiling and I'm like, what can I do? I was trying to go through my list of friends, go through my sisters, like who can I talk to about this right now because I need help. You know, it was kind of a hard thing like to text and call, and my sisters were asleep. I was like, who can I talk to about this? And at the end of the day, I felt like I had no one, which again was not true. So I just began to lay in my bed. I was looking at the ceiling and I was like, I'm going to pray about this. And I hate praying in these situations because I always feel like so awkward. I'm like, God is probably judging me or laughing at me. Like, this is so dumb. Like, I'm okay. And I hate, you know, crying and making a big deal out of like, you know, feeling anxiety. But in this situation, I decided to pray about it. So I prayed and I just felt so much better. I just remember feeling like I was gonna be okay, and it was like tripping my mind out because just a few seconds earlier I was like wanting to die over this problem, and now I was feeling okay. And then I just literally passed out. I went to sleep, which anybody who's like, you know, having a breakdown or whatever knows it's very hard to just like fall asleep right after. And for me, for some reason, I was just fell right asleep, and the next morning I woke up and I was like completely fine. It felt like nothing had happened. And I think a few days later, that was when I seriously decided to give my life to Jesus and actually get saved. And then I kind of remember telling my friends about it and what had happened, and they were so supportive. And it was just an insane feeling to think of just a couple days prior I didn't want to live anymore, and then knowing how many people in my life were so amazing and supportive and also could have helped me through that situation. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that there can be a lot of questions as to what is real in this world, and, you know, how can God even be real? Is there enough evidence to back that up? I remember always thinking that. And for me, obviously, I believe it because of how I've seen people get healed and different testimonies I've heard and stories and stuff. But it's also really clear to me just because of how much God helped that night that I needed him the most in my life. I think even if there was absolutely no evidence that God was real, just the hope of knowing that he is here and can save us and like wants to help us is so much greater to me than anything else, that I would believe it. Believing in something that you can't always see right in front of you is probably one of the hardest things to do in life, especially in these times where everything is like based on science and what you can see, and like a lot of people are always questioning God and why he would let these things happen in the world. But yeah, that is my story. That is how I gave my life to Jesus. I am very thankful that it happened, and that, you know, that I was able to just pray and ask him into my life, and he has been there ever since and has been helping me through those problems, and I've never since then had a breakdown anywhere near that bad. So yeah, that is my testimony. That is how I got saved and how he helped me in that area in my life. And I feel like I could dive into a million more things that he's helped me with and I've struggled with. But yes, thank you guys so much for listening and for watching this video. And I hope that helped you. If you have any questions about Christianity or anything, like leave them down below and I'll try my best to answer them. But yes, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.